The state of Apple gaming has been suffering for years now, but it looks like all of that is about to change because Apple is about to totally disrupt the entire gaming industry. Yes, that's right, we just got a mind-blowing report from Puck saying that Apple is reportedly talking with Electronic Arts about a potential acquisition. Yes, they could be buying out EA Games, one of the biggest AAA gaming developers studios out there. So in this video, I'm gonna answer a very important question. What if Apple buys out EA Games? What's it gonna look like? What kind of games are gonna be where? Which games are gonna have native Apple Silicon support? Which games are gonna end up on Apple Arcade? And which games are gonna stay the same just as we like them? I'm gonna answer all of that, and I'm also gonna talk about Apple's history with gaming and Apple Arcade and how everything is right now. So let's get started by jumping into this report. Apparently, EA Games has spoken to several potential suitors, including Apple, Amazon, and Disney, as it looks for a merger arrangement. Now, Disney was the first pick, but it ended up not working out and Disney decided not to pursue a purchase. Now, EA also spoke with NBC Universal and was close to a deal, but it didn't work out, which makes it more and more likely that Apple could actually be the one that buys out EA Games because they definitely have enough money to do it. They have a ton of cash, and it would probably benefit Apple the most out of anybody out there. And that's mainly because an EA acquisition would give Apple access to a number of highly popular gaming franchises, which is probably the #1 thing that's missing from Apple systems right now. So I was going through the comments on Mac Rumors, and people made some very interesting points. Like, first of all, The Sims being an Apple IP would be huge. Imagine Apple owns all of The Sims. They would be able to take those games, put them on Apple platforms, and then continue to create better and better Sims games that people are gonna love because The Sims is huge. But even better, this commenter mentioned that EA Sports will bring a lot of attention for Apple's incoming AR VR headset. Yes, we've been hearing a lot of those leaks, and we've recently been getting more and more rumors, like this one, for example, saying that Apple's AR VR headset is nearing completion as the Apple board gets a demo. Yes, this is how close we are to Apple's VR headset being ready. They're actually showing demos to the board members on Apple, which is incredible. And we recently got another leak saying that Apple's headset is going to be featuring 14 cameras, which is mind-blowing, enabling lifelike avatars, which is basically memojis, which Apple has really been pushing into. And now check this out, I'm looking at the website for EA Sports, which is just a small part of EA Games. And by the way, I'm gonna be going through all of the different studios that EA Games owns later on in this video and just showing you guys how big of a purchase this would be for Apple. But just looking at EA Sports, look at this. We got F1 racing, we got Madden, NFL football, we got FIFA, soccer, we have hockey, NHL, UFC, we have golf. All of these titles that are huge could be owned by Apple, which is gonna be such a huge deal for them, especially because just a couple of months ago at Apple's March 8th event, Apple announced that you're gonna have Friday Night Football, yes, MLB games shown weekly on Apple TV Plus. Yeah, they're gonna be streamed live. But before I start covering all of the other studios that are owned by EA, because this is a huge list, I actually have to talk about the current state of Apple gaming with Apple Arcade. Yes, it's a $5 a month service, which is actually a good deal because you're getting access to over 200 games and you're not having any issues with ads inside of the games or in-game purchases. And another reason I think it makes so much sense for Apple to really push Apple Arcade as much as they can, potentially with an EA Games buyout, is because Apple Arcade is part of their Apple One service, which I recently subscribed to, where you can pay 20 or 30 bucks a month and get everything included. You can get iCloud, Apple News, Fitness, Apple Arcade, Apple TV Plus, and Apple Music for the whole family, everything for 30 bucks a month, which is actually saving a lot of money compared to if you just bought everything yourself. And the cool thing is that Apple has continued adding newer and better games to Apple Arcade, like Disney Melee Mania, which I've played and I actually quite enjoy. And based on some of the reviews, including Max in our office and this person on Reddit, they said they have a family of 4, so it's worth it. You only have 1 membership fee and no requests for microtransactions from my kids. So that is a big deal because there are some people that are getting charged on their credit cards for their kids playing games and buying stuff without them knowing. So with Apple Arcade, you don't have to worry about that. But on the other hand, there is one huge flaw with Apple Arcade. There are a lot of people that are complaining that there are just mainly remastered games, mobile games, nothing that's really engaging, and no AAA titles. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people are frustrated with, since Apple Arcade doesn't really have AAA games. Like this Reddit poster pointed out, why isn't Apple paying big money to 2 to 3 big game studios in order to create at least 1 to 2 big AAA games that will put Apple Arcade in the map of the gaming industry and attract a lot of new people? Yes, that is exactly what I think Apple could be doing by potentially buying out EA Games. And the awesome thing about that is that we actually did get some leaks and rumors, especially from Stella Fudge, saying that Apple Arcade is getting big money poured into it. There are currently titles in the works that are aiming to rival the likes of Breath of the Wild, which is a big deal. And if you didn't already know, games like this take years to make. So maybe Apple has been working on some awesome AAA games for a while and we just haven't seen them get released yet. And making it even better, earlier this month, we actually got some new leaks that Apple is reportedly negotiating with Ubisoft to secure exclusive titles for a hybrid game console. Well, first of all, of course, it's gonna come to Apple Arcade, but apparently they might be creating an Apple gaming console to challenge the Nintendo Switch. So it could be handheld just like the Switch. But in my opinion, I think that all of that is pointing to a new gaming controller. Yes, an Apple gaming controller that could look like this, because this is an official Apple patent. And as you can see, you have an iPhone in the middle and these 2 controllers on the side that connect to it, which is basically like the Backbone One mobile controller, where you stick your iPhone in the middle, it plugs into Lightning, and you basically have hardware controls with low latency. And based on all the reviews, a lot of people are enjoying the gaming controllers that are built like that because it's just so convenient to play. And the reason I think it makes the most sense for Apple to create a gaming controller for the iPhone is because we just got this report about the 2022 gaming spotlight, with mobile gaming extending its lead over PC and console gaming. And check out this incredible chart. This right here is worldwide consumer spending on games for mobile gaming. It is skyrocketing above PC and Mac gaming, above home consoles, and above handheld consoles. And if you're struggling to understand why mobile gaming is doing so much better than all of the other platforms, well, AppleTree on Twitter made a very good point. GPU costs are astronomical. Yes, if you're gonna be playing on a Mac or a console, you gotta spend a lot of money compared to a lot of mobile games just working on your current iPhone or Android. But getting back to the original article about Apple talking with EA Games about a potential purchase, I want to be real with you guys and let you know that if this does happen, it could take some time for those games to come to Apple devices, like for example, those AAA games like potentially Battlefield being ported over and optimized with native Apple Silicon support, which is going to be a huge deal for Mac gaming, and then of course some of the other games coming down to Apple Arcade. But with that said, let's finally get into the part of the video where I talk about which games Apple would actually be acquiring if it purchases EA Games. First up, we have BioWare, which is in charge of Anthem, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, and Star Wars: The Old Republic. Then moving on, we have have Chilingo, which has a bunch of these mobile games that are currently on the iOS App Store. What Apple would do is some of them they'd probably put on Apple Arcade, but some of the others they might leave the same and just take advantage of those profits from those microtransactions. And then moving on, we have Codemasters, which is actually in charge of Grid, F1, and Dirt 5, and all the other games. And keep in mind, they make games for all of the consoles, so Apple would be taking in all of those profits for themselves, and they would be deciding which of these games they would be putting on Apple platforms. Then we have Criterion, which was doing work on Need for Speed, it was doing work on Battlefield, on Star Wars, Burnout, all of these other games. We also have DICE. DICE works on Battlefield. And this, I think, is going to be the biggest deal because this game franchise alone being on Apple Silicon Macs would totally change the state of Apple gaming. And not only that, look at these older games that DICE created that Apple would basically take ownership of. And then we have Capital Games making Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. They've got Fire Monkeys Studios with Real Racing 3, The Sims Mobile, which is going to be huge, The Sims Free Play, Need for Speed No Limits. And then of course we have Frostbite, which is an absolutely huge deal because Apple would basically own their latest Frostbite engine, which is an incredible engine that's being put into use into a lot of the new games. Then on top of that, we have Industrial Toys, which is currently in charge of helping out create Battlefield Mobile, which I think is going to be a huge mobile game. Owning the Sims IP would be huge for the future of Apple gaming. We also have Metalhead, which looks like it makes some of the baseball games. We have Motive, which looks like created Dead Space and some of the games like Star Wars Squadrons and Battlefront 2. We have Playdemic, which is working on making new mobile games, including Golf Clash. Of course, we have Pogo, which has a ton of online browser games. And then this is a huge one because they have PopCap Games, which is creating a lot of these games like Plants vs. Zombies, Bejeweled, and all these little games that are making a ton of money on the App Store right now. Not only that, but we have Respawn Entertainment, which worked on Apex Legends, especially the new mobile game that just came out, which is awesome, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Medal of Honor Titanfall as well. Then of course we have Ripple Effect Studios, which are helping out with the Battlefield games. And then finally, once again, we have EA Sports, which could be by far the biggest deal for Apple because they just sell so many copies of the games for consoles, and Apple could just do so much in the future with EA Sports. So now that we're looking at this huge list of studios that are owned by EA Games, Apple could potentially be the biggest game studio in the world. And the biggest deal that I want to point out is that even if Apple ends up not purchasing EA Games, this article proves that Apple is at least speaking to huge AAA game developers about potentially buying them out. So it kind of shows where Apple's focus is right now, and it shows how much money Apple is willing to potentially spend to push Apple gaming forward. And I think that's a very good sign because if this deal doesn't work, they could potentially be targeting other game developers and studios. Now, if you totally disagree or you have a bunch of doubts, let me know down in the comment section below. But if you enjoyed this video and you're hoping for some awesome Apple games coming soon, then click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one. Definitely check out one of those two over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.